So everybody was wondering what was AMD going to do after what happened to Intel. I was actually able to go on CNBC on Monday morning, give my prognosis before the earnings, and I am happy to say that I pretty much nailed it. The reason that AMD's earnings were really good, a couple reasons here. First off, the company is very diversified with their Xilinx acquisition, which, if you recall, that was probably half of the thesis behind that. The other half, beyond diversification, was the ability to get more into AI. But if you look at the way that their business is laid out from a revenue perspective, this added about 25% at least to revenue, but it added a heck of a lot more related to operating income dollars. So it's doing exactly what it was supposed to do. When they made the first overture to buy them, nobody thought that was a requirement, but I think AMD is looking really smart right now. I also think that AMD on the data center side is taking unit and revenue share. That business was up 42%. And the sweet spot, right? And we know from Intel that the enterprise data center, they're dialing down the knobs on that at a quicker rate than the cloud. But AMD's business there is $1.7 billion. Client, the PC business is exactly what you would have expected, down kind of an eye-watering 51% year over year. A lot of inventory challenges here. I think the good news is that AMD and Lisa Su is not going after headhunting related to unit share. I do expect them to gain revenue share this quarter, but I expect them to lose unit share. There's a lot of debate out there as exactly what happens, and the wild card is these inventory pieces. Gaming, you would expect down 7%, primarily driven by the softness in PC gaming, and also a little bit to do with consoles. So all in all, a pretty good quarter for AMD, and I think there's a lot of reasons why it's doing better than a lot of the higher performance chip companies out there.
Yeah, Pat, you hit a lot of it here. AMD did have a remarkably better result than Intel, and I think that was where a lot of positivity came in. That has been a bit of the AMD situation for the last part of a couple of years now, where that's been kind of how they've been benchmarked. I mean, look, everything though that is going on in the economy kind of resonated through in their numbers. The client business was really tough. They had a big benefit from Xilinx and being accretive, 1,800% growth in their part of their business because of that. The data center number was a little bit of a surprise, but I don't know if that was a surprise up or if Intel's number was a surprise down to me, because as I kind of processed it, I really expected the Sapphire Rapids ramp to have given us a bit more surprise to the upside last quarter.
Great.
And that came in way softer than I expected. And does that mean that these strong numbers from AMD had to do with AMD taking more share? Did it have to do with not fulfilling orders? I mean, what was the exact situation that led to AMD's really relatively strong growth, given that you saw hyperscaler numbers? They're not particularly huge growth this quarter. And so AMD getting a lot, is that enterprise spend?
Well, when you're taking share, right? So, AMD is about, 20% share to Intel's 80. So market might go down, but you still have the opportunity to take share there.
Well, and that's, you and I have always said, market taking is something that's always a bit more opportunistic when in tougher economies. Companies that are market takers have a little bit, less stress to find growth. It's kind of like Dell every quarter with its infrastructure numbers. When you're number one in like every category, you
Yeah.
are always ceding TAM if you're not growing. That's all
Yeah.
that means. It's very straightforward. Some of the numbers like in consoles, Pat, I believe they record console numbers at AMD this quarter. Is that, did I read that right?
I don't pay enough attention to
Okay.
that, Daniel. I'm gonna claim
I think I
ignorance.
saw that. I read that somewhere, so I'm going to double check that because I hate giving inaccuracies. But I think I saw something. There were some really strong numbers in consoles, and I think overall though, Pat, it was a strong quarter, and AMD is just doing a lot of things right. I mean, it's all it comes down to is they're doing a lot of things right and they're being opportunistic, which sometimes that's one of the best ways a business builds a foundation is when someone opens a door for you, you run through it. And Lisa Su and the team have been consistently doing that for the last several quarters. This was a good result. And Pat, you wrote a great article about Intel's future this week on Forbes. And I just want to say that anything we're saying here is not indicative of the fact that we don't think Intel has the chance to come back. They're 4-3 plan, IDM 2.0. If they can execute, I still don't call it I don't call it an end of days. You said the words before, 80% market share in servers still today. But when you are on top, the pressure is immense. And what needs to happen for Intel is really, there's no more talking about your plans. It's just doing it. And if they do it, they have every opportunity. They have all the right customers. They've got all the right channels, but they need to deliver. And so we'll be watching that really closely. So speaking of watching closely, Pat, I know you and I go back and forth on how much we want to talk about Apple.
Are you the host this week? Yeah.
Oh, oops. Hold on. Go back.
Yeah. So
Take me in, Scotty.
I want to close out AMD. I went and you brought up my Intel piece. It's been read 577,000 times on Forbes. Like I had no idea that it would get that big, and all I did is point out potential for Intel. It doesn't make me an Intel lover and an AMD hater, but net what the company has done is first of all completely radical architectures. Right? They were doing distributed before distributed was cool. They did it before Intel, and they did it before NVIDIA. The second thing is they were able to leverage TSMC. That's just absolutely rocking out there, and their expenses are way low, right? I mean, they came a couple months of running out of cash, and they cut a lot of people, including me, high-priced corporate executives. So, but none of this means that Intel can't have a turnaround. Quite frankly, AMD can still succeed even if Intel does, because they have Xilinx right now.